Now, how about them damn Celtics?
All right, we're back. We're here. Jack isn't here, but I'm here. It's a new How About Them Celtics video. Jack is up in Maine covering the Maine Celtics playoff game, do or die. You guys know if they won by now. But this is take two with Bobby Kravitsky. First time internet gods came and executed me live on stream. Bobby, thank you for spending a half hour with me when we were only supposed to do 10 minutes.
I got nowhere to go. I'm just enjoying this Maine Celtics playoff game, or hating it depending on the outcome. But so far, so good, and happy to be here.
I think it's always more fun to lean on the side of hate. That's just me.
That's very on brand for you. I could have filled in for you on that one.
Speaking of hating, a lot of people online are hating on the Eastern Conference Player of the Month award winner this month for March. It is not Jayson Tatum, it is Kobe White. And Celtics Nation is not pleased because Tatum had a pretty incredible month by NBA standards. Maybe by Tatum standards, it wasn't like knock your socks off good. But the league gave it to Kobe White, and, you know, it is what it is. I don't think either of us are going to be too upset about it. But we're here, and we can maybe talk a little bit about why we think it didn't go to JT. Because maybe he was robbed. I think a lot of people are going to come on here saying he's robbed.
Yeah, I think he was robbed. If I was voting, I wouldn't have given it to Kobe White. And the numbers are similar, and the shooting splits favor White. The Bulls went 9-6 when he played. The Celtics went 10-1. If you look at scoring, which is easily Kobe White's best attribute, Tatum, it's just 2 ticks more, but 27.9 to 27.7. You look at rebounds, obviously that's going to go Tatum's way, and it did convincingly, 8.7 to 4.7. You look at assists, that one again goes to Tatum, 6.5 to 3.7. So when you look at those numbers, the record for these two teams, it is surprising, and it's certainly not how I would have voted, although I'm sure there's no one listening who's surprised to hear that I would have picked Tatum. But you look at those numbers and those records, and you tell me who the right choice is.
I would have picked Jaden Springer, but that's me. I think I'm in a boat alone.
He's the only one from the Celtics Stay Ready group that moved on and didn't end up in Philly.
Let's hope he doesn't end up there. Fingers crossed.
He's not trying to circle back.
Jaden. Yeah. This was an interesting month for Jayson. Maybe the voters were unhappy that he hurt himself. Like maybe there's a 65 game rule, but for a single month where you actually can't miss games, and they take durability really seriously. So there's 4 games he missed. All wins, by the way. Who needs him? Maybe that's part of it too. It's clear the Celtics actually don't even need Jayson Tatum. But in all seriousness, he had an incredible month, and this is really built on what's been a sneaky, incredible season for Tatum. Tatum's been exceedingly good this year. He has come off a summer where critics were as loud as they've ever been, despite him winning a championship. The thing that everybody said he would not do, they couldn't do here. He goes and wins a championship. Now he's averaging not a career high, but higher than last year, 27.1 compared to 26.9. He's also averaging 8.8 rebounds and 5.9 assists, which is by far a career high distributing the ball, which has been the biggest point of growth for him as a player. It feels like he's being asked to take on more of that playmaking responsibility. Yesterday, as we're recording this, in the game against Memphis, he had like 16 potential assists. He only ended the game with 2. The guys sold him yesterday. But he has done a great job of just creating opportunities for his teammates, and it's been a big part of the team's offense this year. I'm happy with what we've seen from him. And we haven't really had to talk about it too much because the Celtics have been kind of up and down, but it's because of everyone else. Like Tatum is the only guy who has had a consistent season with no low point. Derek White had the section where he just wasn't happy playing basketball. Jalen's been up and down. He's definitely playing hurt, but he hasn't quite been himself. Drew Holiday's been dealing with nagging injuries all year. Kristaps is in and out of the lineup per usual. Tatum's been the backbone of the team. And we don't even really think about it because we always take it for granted, but he's been great. And maybe he was robbed.
Yeah, and when you look at the growth, like you said, for these guys, Tatum included, it's within the Celtics system. The only one who really added a new layer to their game, but even that is not an entirely different piece that the Celtics now say, well, you're fitting out and we have to work with that reality, is Pritchard with increased efficiency, shooting threes off the dribble. But that is certainly a welcome additive in Joe Mazzulla's offense and with how the Celtics operate and how much Pritchard has the ball in his hands when he gets into a game. So you look at Luke Kornet, and I think he deserves to be in that most improved player of the year conversation. He has leveled up within really his role on this team at both ends of the floor. And with Tatum, it's the same thing. He is an elite facilitator, Sam, who has found ways to grow and get better in that department. And you look before the All-Star break, he was averaging 5.6 assists. Since then, it's 7.1, including last night, where, like you said, there were so many potential assists and quality opportunities that his teammates didn't convert on. He still has had at least 7 assists in 11 of the 16 games he's played in since the All-Star break. And I think what it speaks a lot to is it captures the growth of Tatum as a facilitator, always making the right read and doing it quickly, his willingness to not get bored, making the unselfish and correct choice with the ball in his hands, but also that as the Celtics have gotten more dialed in and further away from when shooting variance in that December and well into January dip, when that was working dramatically against them, it has worked back to a more reasonable expectation, all the way to the point, in fact, that since the All-Star break, they're not just taking the most threes in the league, they're making them, and they're in the top 10 in efficiency. So what you have now is Tatum creating quality chances for his teammates. That component was always there, but now they're capitalizing at a much higher rate, and his numbers reflect that.
There's also the layer to that where you mentioned Kornet. Like, Tatum has been a massive part of Kornet's emergence. Not to say Kornet hasn't made leaps and bounds himself, because he has. He's been an exceptional, just low usage offensive player where you can give him the ball at the rim and he finishes. Been a great pick and roll guy, but that's part of what he does with Tatum. Those two were the most impressive behind Jokic and Murray in the pick and roll this year. And there's a reason for that. It's because Tatum has grown as a playmaker. Kornet's reliable as ever as the role man, and Tatum is reliable pretty much anytime the lights are bright. That's never been a question for him. Again, like, he came into the season with people being like, he sat on the Olympic team, he didn't win Finals MVP, he has no aura, his celebrations after they won the championship were lame. Like, whatever thing that they could find to pick out and make fun of Jayson Tatum, they've done. And then the first night, on opening night, he has 38 points against the Knicks and he doesn't miss. He's had several games this year where he's just absolutely nuked teams that are towards the top of the league. Averages this year against the top teams: Cleveland, 33.5 points. Lakers, who are not so much a top team, they're kind of there, but they're always a big game for the Celtics and the lights are always on, 28 points a game. New York, 34 points a game. OKC, despite them being one of the best defenses in the NBA in the last couple seasons, 29.5 points per game, all above his season average. He has taken his game to another level against these teams. The assist numbers are right up by 7 a game against 3 of the 4, OKC being the exception because the rest of the guys fell off a cliff in those games. The rest of the Celtics were not good against OKC. But I just think that says a lot about his character, because anytime all the cameras are on, every time everybody's watching, despite all the outside noise, despite all the things he's done to silence them, he just steps up again and does it. They're just waiting on him to fail, and he just won't do it in these big spots.
Well, that's exactly where I wanted to go, Sam, is that you think about the examples you brought up of what they try to, the stones they try to disparage him with, and it just reeks of desperation and grasping at straws. And so to me, I mean, you're talking about someone that led his team in like every major statistic virtually in the finals and throughout their playoff run to a championship. And so there goes, he can't win a title, which also failed, of course, intentionally, I might add, to acknowledge his age in all of this and what historically that means for you don't win a championship at those stages in your career. But Tatum and Brown, they're kept together. Their first chance to share the floor in their primes, they win a title. And the roster was loaded and there were injuries on the other teams. You saw how dominant they were throughout the 82-game sample size as well. And then this go around, again, it's all about leveling up. And it's gotten so ridiculous with the attempts, really, more than landing the plane, to throw shots his way and cast shade, that it's now swung back around to what's starting to become one of the louder points. And I am glad that talking heads are using their platforms and actually acknowledging this, is that Tatum is exactly the example of what you want if you're the NBA marketing a star, that he's out there every night, that he hurts his ankle against Sacramento. He's not the reason he didn't play against Phoenix the next night. He wanted to be on the floor. He plays against San Antonio. He plays again against Memphis. They're coming home from this long road trip, and a lot of guys are on the injury report. His name, as of now in this recording, is absent from that list. And really, it's no surprise that he genuinely wants to be on the floor and pretty much is almost every single game.
I wish he would take a day off. I actually just go back and forth on this because then I tell myself, I'm like, well, like if he's conditioned for it, don't let him lose his conditioning. Let him keep playing in NBA games. But then I'm like, I just don't want any freak things to happen like we saw against Sacramento. It is what it is. Tatum's willing to go out there and fight. Big playoff run coming up for him and the boys because they go back to back. What are they going to say now? Year 2, back to back. Maybe Tatum could throw on the Drake song. He loves Drake.
There'll definitely be some Drake at the celebration. It's also Tatum, you don't want to jinx it right now, but he's been through going to the podium or speaking at the championship celebration after they win. So got to come up with some original material this time around. First time you get a pass. I don't know who he would rip off at this point. Maybe that's the bit, Sam. Maybe it's that he starts doing his research on who said what in the past that everyone's going to be aware of as soon as you drop that line, and he just keeps this going.
He should go to open mics and just workshop. Maybe he uses the next press conference as an open mic. He just goes up there and takes the mic off the stand, holds the Gatorade so he has the sponsorship, and just starts telling us all jokes.
He starts doing crowd work.
He should just bring out the Rizzler.
Oh, that's A+ right there.
Yeah.
He brings up the Rizzler. He really doesn't need to say much at the podium.
No, that's it. All right. Well, we're clearly out of things to say. Bobby, you can tell people where to find you.
Give Joe Mazzulla his flowers, Sam.
Joe, Coach of the Month. Nobody cares.
4th time. That's the second most in franchise history.
He couldn't have said it better himself.
All true. And he also nailed it by saying, and I'm sure every coach pretty much has said this when they get the award and get asked about it, but it should be the coaching staff of the month.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, those guys do a great job and are out there every game trying to get these players developed. I mean, you've just seen the growth of Shireman, not to branch off into a whole new topic, but those guys are out there working every single day before the doors open to the fans, and people don't see that.
Yeah, it's a collective effort. Obviously, these coaches like Cassell are involved in the defense or the other end. We see Tony Dobbins calming guys down during games when they get hyped and maybe get a technical like Tatum the other night. And I mean, Cassell's even heavily involved with the substitution pattern. So these guys, they play a role, like you said, beforehand and certainly during the game as well.
Thank you for your role today, Bobby. I could not have done this without you.
I'm here to pinch hit. Give me the torpedo bat and let me rock.
The torpedo bat, which everyone is so up in arms about.
It's cheating, Sam. I don't care that it's within the rules. The MLB,
they're all doing it, though.
That's the thing. The MLB is going to ban this as soon as enough teams do it. If they do, maybe there's even a memo already out if we want to go conspiracy style on this. But the MLB would hate it if every team did this and the scores were all of a sudden looking like a football game. This would get banned in a heartbeat. So it's within the rules. Credit to them, but it's also cheating. It's not in the spirit of the rules.
The MLB, the baseball is a game built on the unwritten rules, traditions. They'll never wear away jerseys at home, unlike this league that we cover. The patheticness of Adam Silver. But yes, Bobby, thank you. Tell the people where to find you.
Find me on Twitter at Bobby Kravitsky. You can check out my work over at Forbes and the Celtics Rundown live stream, which is every week. This week it will be on Thursday, most likely at noon, possibly at 1:00 Eastern.
All right, everybody go hang out with Bobby during the Celtics Rundown live stream. Big thanks again to Bobby. You can follow him on Twitter at Bobby Kravitsky. You can check out our show. We're here every single day. New pods drop Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday. Game recaps are up the morning after each game, and other videos like this one are up in between to keep you up to date with all things Celtics. You can subscribe and hit the bell because you don't want to miss any of it. Jack and I are streaming pregame live every single game before tip-off for a half hour. You can see us chat with the chat. We can actually maybe win a Prize Picks. We did win. We won yesterday. First time ever winning at Prize Picks.
Let's go.
And then we'll play some GeoGuessr after.
Love the Keith Folk post.
Yeah, it felt like that. It felt as relieving as that felt to Red Sox fans back in the day. You
It
can
had
find
the
the
drought.
two of us on Spotify and Apple. All pods and recaps are up there. So if you just want the audio versions, go ahead. Follow there. They'll go right. If you leave a 5-star review, we'd appreciate that very, very much. Tell your friends. Email us, hbtcpod@gmail.com. We're reading your emails every single time we record. hbtcpod@gmail.com. Our socials are How About Them C's for Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Facebook's the name of the pod. All streams there. They're on YouTube. They're on Twitter. Bobby's Tours at Bobby Kravitsky. Mine's at Sam LaFrance NBA. That's it for us. Bye.